Good morning. This is Single Again for the First Time, podcast number 5. I'm Vincent Truman. This is Chicago, Illinois, and it is March 24th, 2013. All of those facts are true. My shout-out hero of the week this week is my niece, Catherine. You don't know Catherine, but Catherine is a high schooler and a fantastically talented singer and really awesome young lady, and she is in the middle of a production of Footloose, playing 2 weekends at her high school. In between weekend 1 and weekend 2, she broke her hand, that's a rather traumatic thing in any life, but kind of doubly so if your life involves costume changes, you know? And I was talking to her mom on the phone, and her mother said, some people have asked, well, gosh, is Catherine going to drop out of the show? And her mom was like, no. And Catherine's like, no. She's pressing on. That's worth a shout out to anybody. I mean, that's a hero thing. That's everything that I'm trying to do. Only all my broken bits are on the inside. So, rah-rah, Catherine. So I did that thing. I'm sure everybody's done that thing, but I did that thing. It's that thing when you look out the window in late March and you see the sun's out, so you dress according to the date instead of the actual weather. So half of my head is completely clogged up because I wore spring clothes and it was really cold outside. As a matter of fact, if I let my voice kind of relax a little bit, it would be a little bit sick sounding. But I don't really want to go back in time and listen to me go, which is horrible because I just did it. It has been a tremendously busy week. There is something to be said about getting busy. My friend Joe has pointed that out, that whenever he is busy, it's good. And sometimes when he's not busy, it's not so good. That's true. I'm here to say this is also true. This thing is full of true statements. I went to the Art Institute here in Chicago, which was extraordinary. They had a special Picasso exhibit, and they had an event surrounding Edward Hopper's Nighthawks painting, which apparently they have actually had in their possession since Hopper entered Nighthawks into a contest in 1942. It took me a while to get my head around it. I don't actually have my head fully around it. That the famous Nighthawks picture, Google it, and you'll go, oh, that, if you don't know what I'm talking about. That this guy submitted it as part of a contest. I always think, painters kind of paint their things and then they're famous or they're not. Or the ones that I see are famous. The ones that I never see, never famous. I don't know. That's a bit of a wanderlog. That's a new word. Wanderlog. It's like wanderlust, only you just keep talking. And at the Art Institute, there was the Hubbard Street dance folks. They did this kind of wandering Twyla Tharp light, lean into each other, push each other up kind of thing with big arm movements. Apparently that is modern dance. I like a little bit more blood in my modern dance. It can be through a fight. It could be menstrual. Either would speak to me. Neither of which I'd like to be involved in, unless there was spaghetti and wrestling. I also dipped my toe into the live lit arena. I read a piece at a gathering called the Pungent Parlour. Pungent Parlour 002, in fact. And I was the opening guy, because nobody was familiar with my work, so, I had to go on first. And got a really nice note from the organizers the next day, so I'll probably be pursuing that. I've been thinking about live lit for a while, because these storytelling concerts are kind of popular right now, and it's kind of right up my alley. It's storytelling with a little bit of dramatic flair, which I can kind of do. and it's quite interesting. Had a date. Date 1.1 went off last Friday. Now, I was really struck by date 1.0 because it went 3.5 hours, whereas I was expecting it to be about 90 minutes. Date 1.1 went 7. What? Yes, 7 hours from like 4:30 to about 11:30. It was good. Let's say that. Saw a version of Taming of the Shrew with BDSM slant. And it was a great dip of the creative toe into darker waters. I think they could have waded in a little deeper myself. I think they could have taken a swim. But it was nice to see Petruchio wearing a gimp helmet kind of thing. One of those leather masks that go all the way up. Yeah, I'd like to see a BDSM version of Hamlet where it's all about water sports, to pee or not to pee. I went there with my friends David and Kathy, and we were talking about, various dating things, and because we're all on the single side, so we're all kind of like, what do you do and stuff like that. And David, David is a real-life personification of Shaggy from the Scooby-Doo cartoons. And very cool, even though he never does say zoinks ever. Kind of wish he would. He was telling me he went through kind of a joyful personal hell because he went to beauty school, and he like me is a 40-something, and he was just surrounded by all these gorgeous 20-somethings, and he was like, oh, it was just too much. It was like so hard to resist. To which I did observe that it was good that he was in beauty school and not working in a daycare center. Why is David taking so long to change the girls? I don't know. And if all that was not enough, I got a grocery shopping delivery thing. Peapod came to my door with the guy holding a bunch of bags, and English was like maybe a second or third language. And he came in, and it was like Christmas. Oh, it was nice. It's nice to have, all my wine and beer and, what do you call it? Food. When I was betrothed, I used to love grocery shopping, and I would borrow the wife's car, and I would go grocery shopping, and she hated doing that. She hated doing just about anything. But I used to love doing that. When I get the Peapod delivery, or I go see Taming of the Shrew, or I'm on a date, the idea of the ex-wife does come to mind. This kind of like little echo. It's kind of like when soldiers get their legs cut off and they can still feel their legs, even though their leg is probably somewhere like being incinerated. It's kind of like that. And for months and months, I resisted that because it didn't exist. The marriage didn't exist anymore. And I hated thinking about her ad nauseum. There we go. I'll change at to ad and ad nauseum. Because I was fairly nauseamed whenever I thought about her. Now it's not so bad. Now it's kind of, I came to the realization that thinking of the idea of the ex is kind of, she's kind of part of my DNA now. She's part of my life experience, a big part of my life experience. In the same way, being raised in the small town of Morris, Illinois, how y'all doing, is part of my DNA. I don't go to Morris. I'm not attracted to Morris. I don't have anything to do with Morris, is what I'm trying to say. Same with the ex, but she's just part of the painting, as it were, part of my personal Nighthawks to bring this all together. You see what I did there? Whatever. So if you are single again, and you probably are, marriage or not, and the ex comes to mind, don't be weirded out by it, because he or she is just part of who you are now. And just kind of acknowledge where you're from, and it kind of points you to where you're going. That very nearly sounds competent. And on that note, I'm going to end this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and have an outstanding day. If that's too much pressure, have a good day.